This is October the 11th, 2015, and we're in the home of Ron Lambe in West Asheville, North Carolina. And Randall Cumbaugh and Cal Goff are the interviewers.
Let's get that documented.
All right, so that's what this is for the person who's transcribing this. Okay, so this general context thing has a lot of elements to it. And so I'll mention them, and then I'll mention them again, so you don't have to remember.
I tend to rattle on.
Okay.
So just.
We want to know about your family background, like how your parents met, where your people are from.
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure how they met, but I know my mother was raised a Quaker in Kernersville.
Where's that?
Kernersville is just outside of Greensboro.
Okay.
It's between Greensboro and Winston-Salem.
All right.
And it was a Quaker community. And my father, I don't know if he was a Quaker or not, but they met very early and they kind of eloped.
Okay.
And that's all I know. And I'm the only child. And I was born late.
Okay.
I was born in 36.
Okay. And are they? Were you a Quaker?
Well, I was for a year or so. As a child, I didn't have any choice.
Okay.
And then I explored other things, like the Roman Church for a while, which is all in Latin at that time. This was the 50s,
Okay.
40s.
Uh-huh.
And so I had a boyfriend in high school, and he was Episcopalian, and he took me to church. I just fell in love with it. And of course I was in love with him too. So.
That helps.
Yeah, it did, kind of. It was an extra plus.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so I joined the Episcopal Church.
Now, did he know?
But not
did he
until I was
know you
about
were in
18.
love with him?
Yeah, we played around more than anything else. It was a kind of tragic affair because he went on, he got married, he went in the Navy and I went in the Army, and then he married this rather homely girl. I think it was part of his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, I'm sure, sweet. And he had, I think he had at least 1 or 2 children. But he turned out to be gay later on.
Oh.
And but by that time, too much water had passed under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I didn't see him until I moved to San Francisco. But he was in Northern California at that time,
Okay.
teaching piano.
All right. When you were a child, and you were the only child, did you have relatives or friends in the church or somewhere else who were kind of mentor type folks?
You mean gays?
Not
No,
necessarily
no.
gay people, just people who are extremely significant to the person you are, that you would credit with something.
I can't think of any one particular one. I had some favorite aunts.
All right.
They were always fun. I loved my aunts
Okay.
more than my uncles.
Uh-huh.
But I liked my uncles, and they loved me. I had one uncle named Sheepy, one was Jelly Bean, and another one. Well, he was heavy. He loved to eat.
Yeah.
He was a good cook. And but Burton and my father were brothers, and they had certain similarities. They both liked classical music.
Your dad did?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
And my mother couldn't stand it. She'd go up to go to bed while we would sit. I have very fond memories of me and my father sitting and listening to the radio.
Uh-huh.
It'd be Beethoven, it'd be cracking nuts and slicing apples and that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
But he loved classical music, and so did Burton. Burton also had a daughter, Cassandra, who now lives in this area. She lives in Weaverville.
Oh.
Her daughter moved about 5 blocks from me. And so
Your second cousin.
My second cousin.
Wow.
And so we have I'm the only child, so everybody's gone,
Uh-huh.
except cousins now.
Yeah.
I have one aunt by marriage, is all I have.
Wow.
And she's still in Greensboro, so we don't communicate very much.
Uh-huh. Okay, so when did you leave home? After high school? Or?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I joined the Army.
All right. And was that something you wanted to do? Something you did because you didn't know?
Well, it
what
wasn't
else
my
to do?
first choice. I tried to get a scholarship, and I was runner-up, so I got a pen and pencil set, which was very nice. But it didn't buy any tuition. So at that time, I think they still do have the GI Bill.
Uh-huh.
So I knew the only way to get to college, and I was determined to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to join the Army. They didn't tell me I could volunteer for the draft. So I did 3 years rather than 2 years. But it's fine. At that age, it was all good.
Oh, okay.
I can give you books of stuff that happened in the Army.
Well, what happened in the Army?
Well, lots.
Where were you stationed?
Well, I took my basic...
In what year are you talking about?
We're talking about 1954.
Okay.
And I took my basic training that summer in August in Augusta,
Oh my God.
Georgia. It was hot as Hades. I didn't think I'd live through it.
Uh-huh.
Got through that, and so the second 8, which is they do a little fine tuning on whatever you learn in basic. I just didn't get shot.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And so I went to clerk typing school,
Uh-huh.
and I learned to type, touch type. And it was great. It was a great asset. So when I finished that, they had me scheduled to go to the Panama Canal. I said, wonderful. So I got my lotion and my umbrellas and all, and it's in line to get on the boat or whatever. They pulled me out and said, you don't have Army issue glasses. I had perfectly good glasses, but I didn't have Army issue glasses. So they put me in a holding company where you raked dirt and did KP and all that stuff for months. And
Oh.
so then they...
In what city?
Oh, this was Fort Jackson. Still
Is-
Fort Jackson.
Is that Augusta?
No, that's Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. Okay.
Almost as bad.
Oh.
Or, so I endured that, and so I ended up being assigned as a chaplain assistant to a chaplain in Fort Ord, California.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out great. He was Episcopalian. And he was a big wheeler and dealer, and he loved me because I could type and I could arrange things, and I could do the altar linens, naturally, and all that stuff. And he liked to just go out and do other stuff. He had other things to do. So we got along fine. So he got transferred to Korea, but we kept in touch. And sure enough, about 6 months to a year later, I got transferred to Korea. So I wrote him, said, I'm coming to Korea, maybe we'll see you or something. I no sooner got off the boat. My name was called out, and I was put in this thing, and he had greased the wheels.
Oh.
He wanted me back as his assistant.
Oh.
So we spent a year or so in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of experiences.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened after you?
Well, then I went to college. I went to UNC Chapel Hill
Okay.
in comparative literature.
Mm-hmm.
What saved me, though, is I played in the orchestra. See, I took up cello in grade school, actually. And so I've been playing cello forever.
Mm-hmm.
And
What year were you born?
1936.
Okay.
So I was in college from 57 to 61.
Okay.
Graduated in 61. I had no plans for a job, so I stayed there working in a record store for 3 years, trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Did you think you would probably settle in the South, or did you?
No, I wasn't sure what I wanted to go to Europe, actually.
Oh.
But my French and German was not that good. But anyway, I ended up moving to San Francisco.
And why?
Well, because I was the gay mecca.
Yeah.
And culturally, too,
Uh-huh.
So a friend of mine...
Well, did you know you were a gay man then?
Oh, yes.
Before then?
Long before.
Okay. All right. So
Even
that
in
was
grade school.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know what to call it.
Yeah.
In those days, I remember I couldn't find the words. I just feel like I like guys.
Well, what is your coming out story? When did that happen? Or do you have a
It's a series
linear
of-
coming out thing?
Yeah, I think it was bit by bit.
Was before San Francisco?
Oh yeah, I played with this boy in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My first sexual experience was we were staying with he was an only child too, I think. My mother always worked for the telephone company, but when we moved to Connecticut in the 40s. And then my father had a heart attack, and he worked for Pitney Bowes. So we moved back to Greensboro, and Mother had to go back to work. So she went to the IRS for a while, and she met this woman there, and they had an apartment or something we could rent. Ironically, it was right across from the high school, but I was in junior high at that time, so I had to take the bus from there to. But where was I?
Well, you were going to tell me about this guy that you played around with.
Oh yeah. So my very first experience was this guy that lived there. We were playing with his trains, and one thing led to another, and by God, he introduced me to all sorts of wonderful things. But we never did anything after that. That was just one of those in the moment events.
Right.
And then I met my friend George. He went and played the piano, and I used to turn pages for him, and we do some overnights and things. But he was the one I was telling you about that moved to California eventually. He went in the Navy and I went in the Army. And I did more sea duty than he did in the Army.
That's funny.
So it was all right.
How was that Connecticut episode? Did you love it?
I did. It was great. We lived, it was a 2-block boulevard. There were apple trees in the middle of that, and then behind it was a field, and then there was a stream. I explored all over the place. A lot of fun. I enjoyed that. It was a great experience. But we were only there for about 4 years.
And that was before high school?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Before junior high school. Okay, so you were in college. Were any interesting coming out developments there?
Oh Lord, I had lots of boyfriends.
You did?
Somewhere Franklin Abbott has all my scrapbooks.
Right. And there
are lots of them in there.
Oh, okay.
You might take a peek.
So
I've always had boyfriends, but never a relationship particularly, just boyfriends.
Okay. So before you graduated, you knew you were going to San Francisco next?
Oh no, I didn't know it. I knew I had to get out of that. I was in a rut. I was in debt, and my car was falling apart, and all these things. You know, I said, I just got to get a job and go somewhere else. And and that was the right place to go. I was there from 64 to 79. I could not have picked better years.
Wow.
I have been fortunate all my life to live at the best time in different places.
Okay.
Like Asheville is just going through a great renaissance.
And what was it like to show up out there and not know? Did
Well, it was
you
a
know
little
anyone?
scary. I didn't know a soul.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't find any job. I kept trying to find anything, but since all my experience was selling records, I ended up working for a record store.
Okay.
Couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
And I did that for almost 15 years.
Oh, okay.
But it was a fun store. Most of the staff were all gay.
Where is it still there?
I don't think so anymore.
Okay.
It was part of a national chain, and we were the diva store, of course. And so we had all the opera divas came to sign autographs. So I have all kinds of records with Sutherland and Pavarotti's signature on them, because they all gave us records. But those were great years,
Okay.
And so I loved that. I loved the symphony. I loved the opera and all that. But at some point I just got too tired to stand and too poor to sit. So I just sort of stopped going. And then, okay, this ties in.
And was this your 20s? Late
And
20s?
30s, yeah.
And 30s, okay.
Around, I'm trying to put a year on this. Well, it was around 63. I was in San Francisco, and I met countertenor, Stalamefsud, I think the name was, who had introduced me to RFD Journal, because it had come out the year before. Or no, it was actually out, but anyway, no, it had actually started in Ohio, I think. But he had been to the very first running water gathering, and it was written up in that particular issue. He said, "You just must go."
Now, why do you think he said that to you?
Well, I guess he just picked up that I was a budding fairy or something. I don't know.
Okay.
My plan, and I never thought I would ever leave San Francisco. I could write a book about San Francisco. I was in the halcyon years, you know, with Moscone's and Milk's murder and the Flower Children, Pillsbury.
Did you like where you lived? Or did
I
you
did.
live a lot
Well,
of
I lived in
places?
different places. I lived downtown most of the time. Then we had a friend of mine from college days bought a Victorian for $17,000. I think it went for $3 million last I heard. I wish I held on a little longer.
Yeah.
And then I lived out in the Avenues. I had a little
Uh-huh.
garage apartment. It was wonderful.
Okay.
And I had a lot of fun there. But
Uh-huh.
I got tired of the fog. I got tired of wearing a sweater in summer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love San Francisco, but this got. So I was really planning to go to Europe, but I said before that I was going to do a couple of things. And one was to go to the ARE, the Edgar Cayce Foundation. They had a seminar coming up, and I was very much into Edgar Cayce's readings, and I've got to go to that. And then I went to the Outer Banks, and I said, I had been told, and I made a note of it, to go to a gathering at Running Water at that summer. That would be 79, 64, yeah, 64. And so-
64.
64,
Wow. I didn't know they were that early.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the magazine's been going before that.
I'm in Running Water.
Running Water was started in 63.
Okay.
And so I went to the third gathering, which was the next year. And which was a whole transcendental experience. I thought I had done everything in San Francisco. It's still something else. And so then Michael announced the place was for sale. Well, I had been looking for land with another friend of mine and from San Francisco for a long time.
Out
We could
there?
never, in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, in
In California.
California.
Yeah.
We couldn't find anything we could really afford or really make it. How would you build something, you know, if you really make a teepee or something? And so I contacted him. I said, if there's a really good chance, here's this place for sale, and if you come in, maybe we can buy it together. I didn't have enough money to buy it on my own. So I told Michael, I said, well, I'm interested, but let me come back the next week. He showed me how to get in, and so I came all by myself. Here I am, first of all, with 50 guys. It was all this wonderful camaraderie and all that. And I come back by myself, because well, I think I was staying with Peter and Rocky or something, staying in the Asheville area.
Had you met them at Running Water? How did
Oh
you
no,
know
that's
them?
right. I met them at Running Water, so it wasn't them.
Okay.
I can't remember where I was, but I was in the area, so I went back all by myself and just poking around, and I'm sure I wasn't there more than an hour. And then down the road comes Peter, Rocky, John, and another fellow.
And who's
And they-
John?
John Jones,
Okay. And he.
Peter, Rocky, and John Jones, and another correspondent of Peter's,
Okay.
redhead from Chapel Hill. I can't think of his name.
Okay.
But anyway, they came because Sam was his name. Knew that he was going to sell it, and they were looking for land. They'd gone all over Pennsylvania and everywhere looking for land.
And you had met them.
And
Oh.
no, then
you had
I
not
met
met
them then.
Oh, really? Oh.
And we spent the day, And we went out to dinner, and we found out we just had so much in common. And, you know, and Edgar Casey stuff, and spirituality, and natural living, and vegetarian cooking, and all those good things. And so we said, wow, why don't we go in together? And so we formed Stepping Stone, which is the corporation that we've organized to hold the property, because none of us could afford it individually. So we formed a holding corporation called Stepping Stone. And Peter, Rocky, and I put in pretty much equal amounts. John did not have enough, so he just came in with them as a minority owner. And so that was the fall gathering is when we announced it, and it was all done between the summer solstice and the autumnal equinox.
Okay.
All the legal stuff. And then that's another adventure starts.
Yes. And that was like, what was that, how many years was that?
Well, I was there, let's see, from 88, this is 64, 79. I was there. This happened in 79. And I did not leave Running Water until about 88, so I was there 9 years. Okay. And we inherited the gatherings, and we inherited RFD.
Okay. Did you inherit it, or did you offer to take it?
Well, it was expected of. We offered to take the gatherings on. That was what we really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, we had lots of gatherings. We got busy sometimes, and we had more than just 2 gatherings a year, like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But I remember we all packed into Rocky's truck and went up to, I think it was someplace like Pennsylvania to have go to a workshop on how to build things out of nothing, and how to hoe your garden and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Skills, and so that was interesting. And then the very first winter, we had no money, so we went down to Florida to work for the winter and see if we could make some money. And I made very little. Peter did better than anyone, of course. He was a good waiter. But I worked with a telephone company.
Okay.
That is a long story.
All right.
There's many chapters in this saga.
Oh, yes, and feel free to go ahead and tell some details if they interest you, because nobody knows this story, or not enough people know it. All the details, because
that's
for
true.
various reasons.
They couldn't imagine it.
That's true.
But anyway, we ended up hosting gatherings and producing RFD. That was our income, our collective income. I think we lived on about $2,000 a year.
Wow.
But the water was free. The only thing we paid for was our electricity and of course taxes. I think it was like $500 a year. And
now was Michael was out of that picture by then.
Yeah, Michael
he moved to Atlanta.
He moved to Atlanta. No, he moved to San Francisco first. I mean, Asheville first.
Okay.
And then I keep confusing him.
Okay.
And so but the house he had burned eventually, because he rented out to roomers and everything.
Where?
In Montford.
Oh, the
it's
house
not there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, would he come back to the gatherings?
Yeah, he did occasionally.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where he and Doug met.
Oh.
Was at the gatherings.
Okay. So, Running Water, RFD came to Running Water pretty quickly after it got started.
It did.
Like a year or so
We
after.
didn't plan on that exactly, but what happened at that period, RFD was produced by a different group, not always a collective.
Yeah.
In different places every quarter. And I think the last one before us was Lasses, which is in Louisiana, New Orleans. Louisiana Sissies in Struggle.
Exactly.
With Dennis Melbison. And Anyway,
Was there a big U-Haul or something that
You would be
transferred one thing
surprised.
to another, or
no, Fagla Ben Miriam
Yeah.
was kind of the business manager and showed up with 2 boxes of stuff, and that's all he had.
Okay.
Two cardboard boxes.
Okay, and
that
did
was
he-
RFD.
Did he start living at Running Water?
No, he
No.
visited, he lived in the Seattle area. I think he was on a collective. He's a character in himself. He
Mhm.
just did all sorts of amazing things. But he was originally from North Carolina,
Okay.
from near Chapel Hill.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So.
So we took on RFD.
All right. And that. When did y'all decide? Did RFD then leave Running Water before Running Water stopped, or was it there
About
the
the
whole
same
time?
time.
About the same.
Oh, well, yeah. By that time, which would be around the late 80s, Rockin Peter had already moved, and I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the collective had collapsed.
Mhm.
But there was a series of brothers who came and stayed, and it wove in and out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a feeling of a collective, but it was amorphous in the sense of, wasn't,
Was that okay with you, or was that disturbing?
it was all right for a while.
Yeah.
About that time, which is the late 80s, I got involved through the food co-op with an environmental group, the Western North Carolina Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And because we were right next to the National Forest, and there were plans to clear cut all that right behind us, and we said, we just don't have, well, won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I got involved with the Alliance, and the next thing I know, I was on the board, steering committee,
Yeah.
and did this and did that, and was one of the founders in a way,
Mhm.
the environmental group, which was very effective. And so that brought me to Asheville, because I started working for them. I was just did volunteer work before
Mhm.
for a couple of years when I was at Running Water.
Is Running Water about 80 miles away from here, or
It's
further?
not quite that far, I don't
Okay.
think. It's about an hour's and a half drive, but it's between Red Hill and Green Mountain.
Mhm. And how often would y'all come into Asheville?
Then we'd come in, once or twice a month, maybe. Mostly to go shopping, but also to go to a movie or something, you
Mhm.
know. Something social.
So you got involved with. You had to come to Asheville more often for the.
Well, the first year we had an office in Spruce Pine. It just didn't work.
Okay.
You see, before that, all of the staff worked in their homes.
Mhm.
And I thought, that's okay, but wouldn't it be better if they had a center that everybody could go to and they feel more like they owned the organization?
Mhm.
And so that's what I insisted on, and I think that was a good move.
Mhm.
So it moved us to Asheville,
Okay.
and I got tired of, I would come for 3 days and go back for 2 days and whatever. I got tired of that, so I said, I'm just going to move to Asheville. So I moved here in, took me about 5 months to find this house.
Mhm.
So it'd be like May of 1988.
Okay. And when, so you were still technically not technically, but you still owned Running Water.
I did. I was the principal.
And-
So before that, I should explain.
Okay.
When Rocky and Peter left, they were part owners. They had stock in the
Mhm.
corporation.
Mhm.
So what we did is we opened it up to other brothers to buy shares so that we could repay Rocky and Peter.
Mhm.
And that worked really well.
Mhm.
And so when first of all, I tried to find someone to follow me and do stuff. I got a fellow to do RFD. It was an absolute disaster. He spent all the reserves that I had worked so hard to get up looking for a boyfriend. And then this other guy came in, I'll do this and I'll do that. Oh, he had no finesse.
Mhm.
I spent years sitting on the porch talking to the neighbors, developing relationships with them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's one, I will digress to tell you one story.
Good.
We had pretty good relationships with the neighbors.
Yeah.
So one time we were having a gathering, and I can't remember the fellow's name, but he was doing, confronting the moral majority, Falwell. And he put out a UP Press, whatever, that he was coming to a farm near Bakersville. Bakersville is a town of 400 and has never been in the United Press. They were not, but they couldn't find us for a long time.
Oh.
It was just a farm near Bakersville, but
Yeah.
I knew everybody else but me. And so one year after that, we had a gathering, and the next week, the lesbians in Asheville said they wanted to come up and do a gathering. I said, that's great, because I get to go to Asheville and play, and they can play up here and all that. I came back and asked, well, how did things go? She said, oh, and they fixed my flat tire.
Of course.
Of course. And all that. And I said, and they said, but do you have friends that your neighbors come through with guns? I said, well, not really, unless they're hunting or something. Yeah, we had some, but they were out playing baseball bare-chested, and the boys didn't know how to. They came anyway. So the lesbians saved us. They just got confused.
Oh my goodness.
But I digress, and something I was going to mention.
Well, you said you were going to talk about how the running water elided into you're divesting yourself of that.
Oh, so the guy did not work. He had the finesse of an elephant or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was from New York. Actually, he was originally from Arkansas, I think.
Uh-huh.
But he was awful, and I'd spent all this time making good relationships with the neighbors. That was the other story I was going to tell you. We had one neighbor who lived up there were a lot of Ledfords up there. That's one of the Ledford clan lived up there.
Mm-hmm.
Little old man. He had been in jail for killing somebody at a church. They had characters up there.
Yeah.
Well, he had relatives below us, and he asked if he could cut through running water to get to his relatives. I said, sure, anytime. Well, he had the sense, when we had a gathering, to kind of be unobtrusive, So, one time he was going down to dinner, so he cut into the woods. Well, that was the time we had some guys. There was a little creek, well, there was running water, there was creeks everywhere, creek with a little bridge on it, but they had put a mattress and they were just having a three-way. And he came up on them with this little cabin, looked down, and they looked up and said, you boys taking a rest? He was trying to make, but he eventually died in an outhouse, but I went to his funeral. And all the relatives said, well, Howard always spoke well of you boys. So, yeah, I think he secretly enjoyed the quaintness of it, And he was very supportive.
Okay.
But I had a lot of good relationships with the neighbors, and this guy came and he just...
Alienated people?
Everybody.
Oh.
He told this, that, he got lordly and whatever. Well, he didn't last, and he's gone. And then I was stuck. So we ended up selling it to a lady friend I knew from the co-op and her family. And so I went back into hands. But I tell you, it was painful to go there after this fellow was there. The energy was so...
Wow, he did that much destruction.
He was.
And it was psychological.
It was.
Uh-huh.
And it was just painful to go there. We couldn't stand it.
Wow.
So we said, we've got to sell it and purify it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't been there in 10 years, maybe. A long time.
Okay.
But we had a great time. And there's a map with all the names, like Gertrude Stein,
Yeah.
Glenn Ford, and
Okay. So,
I'd like to take a break
Okay.
here. You're getting a lot of glare on your glasses, so I think if you move over here.
so there were proceeds from this, and that was
so we used that basically to pay off all of the debt that we
okay.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got back my original investment.
Okay. And this was the late 80s, 89.
88, yeah. I
88.
moved to Asheville in 88. I remember.
Okay.
I
So
have some
how?
landmarks I can remember.
What's your memory of how the transition from running water? I mean, was there a transition?
There
Is
was.
this
There
some
was.
fable we are inventing?
No.
No. Okay. What is that?
Well, it was about I think it was about a year. Nothing was going on.
Okay. And
And-
RFD had gone on to some
Oh
other
yeah.
place.
Finally, someone said Short Mountain came
Okay.
and picked up all that stuff. And they-
Okay. And how far away is Short Mountain from
Well, it's
running water?
about 200 miles.
A
or more.
long
It's-
way.
It's a pretty good ways. It's over the mountains.
Did y'all ever visit with each other?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because they had gatherings too, right?
They did. They do. It's still
They
good.
do still. Okay.
Ours were different. That's very druggy, and we were accused of the middle class because we mowed our lawn.
Oh, I see. It wasn't as free for all as
Yeah,
as Short
they're
Mountain.
much more laid back.
Okay.
So it was a little bit different angle on everything.
Uh-huh.
And so that's how the Gay Spirit Visions came. What was, I think Raven came up, and Peter, and three of us, and Rocky too, he was in there. Said, you know, we ought to do something to keep the tradition of running water going. But it was getting to be, after so many years, about Ferry 101. And you know, you get tired of 101 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wonderful experience, and it's great for everybody who's an introductory thing. But for those who are veterans, yeah, I've been there, done that, and we all understand, and I want to support you, but what's there for me?
Mm-hmm.
And so we said, we need kind of a little more structured thing, which was, I thought, an anathema to Short Mountain. They wanted everything, you know, unstructured.
Mm-hmm.
But we were the structured element. And so it was Raven and Peter and I were the three main people. Some others came in, Rocky came in, and there was a doctor that came in. And we sat and talked about how we would organize it.
Where did you sit and talk? Where did these?
Well, we did it here in Asheville, usually,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Was it at your house? Was it at
it
different
wasn't here.
places?
Different places, yeah.
Okay. And one of
But
them
it
was
was
at
only-
least it was at Rockin Peter.
Rockin Peters.
Yeah. Okay.
And but then we decided kind of what we wanted to do. And that time, Harry Hay was available. He was coming. Peter worked it so that Harry Hay was the speaker at UNC, at Asheville, and so that paid for that. It's a big start for us. Harry Hay, no less, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next thing was to find a place to do it. And we spent quite some time going from Boy Scout to Boy Scout. And the first time they said, oh, this is great. But as soon as we said, this is for gay men. Oh, you know, the water's coming off, I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we went to, finally,
And who's we? You and Peter?
Peter, mostly Peter and me, I don't think. Yeah, it was mostly Peter and me, I think.
Uh-huh.
Raven was in Atlanta at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and so he didn't come up all that often.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally got to the Unitarian church camp, and I said, "Oh, fairies, how wonderful!" We've always wanted some gay men to come, and we said, "Oh, well, we found a home,"
Mm-hmm.
and it has been ever since. They've been
Okay.
very welcoming and supportive.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for that help in understanding how it got started. So, did you go to the first conference?
Oh yes,
And do you remember it at all?
oh I do.
were you nervous about how it would work, or?
I wasn't nervous, but what was interesting is I was kind of the maitre d'. I was the one that orchestrated things. And I just have a talent for leadership in a certain regard. And so I did that. And boy, we had a whole bunch. And holding that diverse group together, but it did. It worked great. And then we had the workshops, and Peter and Rocky got involved with all of those things. But the big thing was the big circles, and the main speaker, which was Harry Hay. And then we later on got Andrew Raymer for many years. He came and talked as the keynote. But it was a kind of structured gathering. But there was workshops, and there were play shops, and there's always the tradition of the Saturday night dinner, where everybody got dressed up and we had talent.
Was that something from Running Water?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yes, I've got pictures.
Okay, so that was an import.
Oh yeah,
From
that
Running
was.
Water.
Well, we kept trying to keep as many of the elements we could.
And was the heart circle one of those elements?
Absolutely, and that
Okay.
is the core of a gathering, is a heart circle.
Okay. Did y'all spend a lot of time planning that first conference, or
We
was
did,
it?
and, well, it wasn't. We were making it up as we went along. We knew pretty much what we wanted to keep from the gatherings, but in a structured format, it was more than just the gathering. Because the gathering, the structure is really basically the circle and dinner.
Yeah.
Those are things you just work around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because the Saturday night dinner, dress-up dinner, everyone loved to get dressed up for that. And then we often had entertainment. I had, one time, we had a guy bring a concert harp. It was a dirt road. He had to carry it over the dirt road. About a mile.
Wow. Okay.
So entertainment is always important, naturally. And we have talent. Fairies have talent.
Well, yes. Yes. So were there talent shows or not? at
No, it
Running
was
Water?
an after dinner entertainment type thing.
Okay.
But more of a review than anything else. So Fairies Got Talent type
Okay.
thing.
So Peter mentioned yesterday that people didn't really know that there would be more than this one gathering.
That's true. We weren't sure. But I think the plan was that if it took off, it would be the structure for the future gatherings, since we lost Running Water. And
So how did you feel about that at the end?
about which?
About the first gathering. Did you declare it a success?
It was.
Yeah.
Howling.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yes.
And so it was just natural to eventually start talking to each other about the second one, or did y'all sign a contract or something?
We signed
Or
a
second
contract
one?
only with the mountain.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
But we broke it into committees to do different parts of it. I forget now exactly when that developed, but it was very quickly. It was a lot of work for one or two people. And we lost Raven.
Right.
He was murdered in Atlanta.
93.
So that was like 4 years into all this. So that was a blow.
Who were some of the people that helped y'all out with the second conference who were not in on the first?
That I can't. I'd have to think.
Okay. But y'all were able to communicate before the internet and all that?
Oh yeah, sure. It was telephones and
Okay.
postal service.
Okay.
Peter might remember more. It's so much gone over.
Okay.
I just forget.
Was RFD now out of your life personally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did
But
it ever come back into your life in a oppressive way?
Only as an icon.
Okay.
I still have every issue that's ever been published.
Okay.
From one to the current one, yeah.
Georgia State is collecting them, and they cannot find issue number 4. Nobody seems to have
Oh, I'm
that.
sure I have it.
So I hope you will put that in your will. that
Well, it needs
that
to
is
go
go.
somewhere besides here.
Well, Georgia State has got a lot of real neat
The,
game in the
the
southeast.
used to be that the collective would keep the old back issues and they were useful.
Yeah.
And I've made lists and lists of what was available. But number 1 was not very many of those either.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I remember I bought all the back issues, but
Oh, good.
I didn't.
Good.
I think they were out of number 4.
I think it was 24s, but our first one at Running Water with
Uh-huh.
a picture of the Running Water house with the earth and the moon. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't remember.
It's a black one. I'll get it for you.
Okay.
See it.
So,
King Thaxton, I think, drew that.
oh, that's right. Peter was telling us about that particular issue.
Well, I'll get it.
I did not know that he had anything to do with RFD.
Who, Peter?
King.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
mostly graphics and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And John Jones, he did a lot with the graphics.
Was that the same John that was involved with?
Peter Rocky, the quartet.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, naturally, I can't put my...
Well, that's okay. I think I remember. It's not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it. Yeah. It's like running water's the center of the earth or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's a King Thaxton.
I think it is.
Uh,
John Jones and King Thaxton did a lot of the graphics. They did. Raven did a lot of graphics too.
Okay.
And we had just drawers of things we used for. But this is when we
I'll let you
We-
hold it up.
put it together with a little typewriter
Mm-hmm.
and
It's very primitive.
I don't know that we credited that. Cover design, front and back cover design by Wing. That's
His herbal name.
yeah,
Okay.
Hold it up just a little bit longer.
sure.
When did the or how did the Asheville plan, or I mean the how did the planning sort of migrate to Atlanta and then back to Asheville?
Well, I think we did the first maybe 3 or 4 years.
We meaning you,
Peter
Peter.
and Rocky and
Uh-huh.
and I can't think of the doctors. Well, he didn't do much anyway. But moral support. But we got more of the Atlanta people involved, and they just ran with it, and we were just so happy to have someone run with it.
Uh-huh.
We said, and this is in good hands,
Yeah.
so we weren't worried about that,
Uh-huh.
you know. And we kind of relieved, to tell you the truth, because
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of work.
Yes. So then, a few years ago, it sort of came back
Back to
this
Asheville.
direction.
I'll
Is that
say.
how did you feel about that?
That was great. It's like home.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know all of those people. There is quite a bunch of ferries here in Asheville,
Uh-huh.
but I just know a couple of them
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so busy with all the other stuff I'm doing now
Mm-hmm.
that it's sort of, well, that's nice, but I'm there, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's like Thomas, if you can't go home again or
Yeah.
something.
Well, do you feel like you sort of graduated from GSV? Is GSV sort of part of your past now, or?
Probably, but I always consider it one of my better children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I was proud of Running Water, and I'm proud of RFD, and I'm proud of all those
Yeah.
endeavors that I adopted or instigated.
Did you go to a lot of the conferences at the beginning?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. The
And-
first 3 or 4 years, I was there all the time, I'm
Okay.
sure. Things happened later on. My stepfather died. My mother was very sick. I had to take care of her. I was running for city council. I had all these other things to juggle.
Mm-hmm.
And since that was in good hands, I don't have to be there. That's
Mhm,
wonderful.
mhm.
And I just went on with my other stuff.
Mhm.
So-
When was the last time you went to a conference?
Well, I was there 2 years ago, I think,
Okay. All right.
briefly. I like to make cameo appearances.
I see. So to decide whether you're going to go or not go is, it just depends on your schedule.
It does
and
depend on
how-
my schedule. It's not that I don't want to.
Uh-huh.
I love it. 'Cause I still think it's a worthwhile thing, and I always learn something.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you go back, do you feel like that whatever was best in the original incarnation of it has been preserved, or do
Pretty
you-
much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like going to a family reunion after all the kids have grown up.
Mhm. Okay. Do you remember some particular keynote people more than others as far as?
Well, Andrew Raymer and of course Harry Hay. Those stand out like,
Meat eaters.
yeah, they were substitute. One of the interesting thing about Harry Hay is, you know, he was not aware of the fairy movement in the East. He was aware of the fairy movement in the West
Where
Coast.
he was.
That's where he was.
Yes. Right.
And he came to Running Water, and he was astonished. There are fairies there too, about the same time.
Yeah. Right.
So we kind of enlightened him in a way.
Uh-huh.
So.
He came to Running Water. I don't know.
He
that I
did.
knew
He came
that.
to a gathering before the conference.
Right before the conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know the exact year, but within a year or two.
Okay. So he had been in the East around fairies before he came to the ferry and to the first GSV conference.
He had been to all the gay marches in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember meeting him in Washington.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
And the first one was in 1979,
Mm-hmm.
so
It's early. Yeah.
very early.
Who were some of the people that you met through GSV conferences who are important to you still, if they had not died? I mean, there's some of them that you met that have died, but are there people who are like in your network now who you met that way?
Well, one of the interesting ones is Greg Bonin, who is he is part of the board, I guess, now, and he is part of the dance group that rents space in the Masonic Temple where I do
Or a
all my
Mason.
stuff.
Are
I
you a
am.
Mason?
I'm very proud of it.
Uh-huh. Was that from your family background? that
No, not at all.
No?
I do a lot of stuff on my own.
Uh-huh.
Always have.
Okay.
And it was just something that opened up, and I said, I've always been curious about that, and by God, it's been very rewarding.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a little bit like throwing Brer Rabbit into the briar patch. And all these gorgeous men.
Uh-huh.
I just happen to be straight, that's all.
I see. Okay. By the way, have you ever heard where that term radical fairy came from? When it started being
I think that's
thrown
Harry
around?
Hayes' take.
Harry's. Okay.
Yeah, because he was always the thinker, and he would kind of develop
Come up
thoughts around-
terminology. Yeah. Okay. So Gary Bonin is one person who you've met through GSV, who's
It was later, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And a lot of the Atlanta people I know, like, Franklin Abbott and,
okay.
who, by the way, came up and did an interview too.
That's right. He's interviewed you, but yours was his was a whole comprehensive of your whole life thing, right?
I guess.
I hope
I
this
don't
isn't-
remember.
I hope this is not too much of a repetition. From
I don't,
that.
well, you can edit it.
Okay.
Take it out.
I mean, for you, that it's not too much.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I lived it, so.
Okay. Were you ever a small group leader when in part of these conferences?
Yeah, I've done a few little workshops or something, I think. But generally I was the one that held it all together.
Uh-huh.
I was kind of the, I don't know what the word is, but it's,
Well, the
MC or
orchestra
something.
conductor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember one time, and I think it was one of the first gathering, Gay Spirit Visions. And Dwight was there, Emery, who worked on the RFD, was there.
mhm.
But we went in a circle, and there must have been 60 to 70 guys who had a lot of heart to talk about. But I was able to synthesize everything they said in 2 sentences.
Wow. Right.
And I was very proud of that.
Well, of course.
It wasn't easy. I had to drop a few things.
Do you have an opinion about whether Gay Spirit Visions is still needed or necessary or fills any kind
I
of
think
role?
it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
Because it's always young gay men who have been isolated for most of their lives, and this is a real coming home for them.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, this is not just Fairy 101. It gets into graduate level discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been a fairy now for 20 years, and so what's next?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is kind of thinking about our family and what we're about and why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those questions that Harry Hay asks.
Mhm.
Who are we and where do we come from and where are we going?
Mm-hmm. Okay. You said you got this mailing or you did not?
I did not.
Okay. There is a list at the bottom of this page of people who have died since GSV started, and we are trying to capture, since we cannot interview them,
Yeah, of course not.
and because they were important, some of them at least, some of them I know were, to the whole journey, we're trying to get people to paint little sketches of what were they like, what do you remember about them, what were you fond of them particularly because of. So it's a lot of names, it's 49 names, and what I would like for you to do, if you're willing to, is to just start at the beginning, it's alphabetized, and just try to connect a memory of your own with them.
Well, I'll try.
If you knew them at all.
I may not.
Okay.
Now, David Orphan, I know the name. God, Gary Briggs, I know him.
What did he look like? Do you remember?
Gary Briggs was kind of thin, kind of thinning blonde hair, and he was a Quaker from Durham. And he had 2 boys, and there's pictures at Running Water of his boys playing with John Harris's children
Mhm.
up in a tree. It was so cute. They were
I've
like,
seen that picture.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
and that's Gary Briggs' boys. He died. Of course, James Broughton had been to Running Water too, I think.
Uh-huh. Really?
I think he has. But we had a lot of poetry. And for a while, I set a lot of the poetry to music, like Leader.
Uh-huh.
And I did that at kind of therapy when we were doing RFD, and that's on that piano.
Oh.
And so I wrote a whole bunch of stuff, and then Richard Strange came through, and he recorded them, and we had a premiere in Boston. I flew up for that.
Oh.
And I had no copy of that. Every time I lend it to somebody, I said, you must get it back to me. They don't.
Mm.
So if I ever get it back again, but it was songs of love and nature,
That reminds me, when you mentioned the poetry thing, is Michael Mason's name on there? On that list? It's alphabetized.
No.
No. Was he a GSV person?
No.
Or was he a pre-GSV person?
3.
Okay, that's why he's not on there then.
Yeah, I don't think.
Did he come to Running Water?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was madly in love with Michael.
Oh, that's good to know.
Oh, yeah, he
Okay.
was.
Were you the only person that with him?
Oh, no!
just wondering.
Michael was an incredible person, and he was a great poet.
Mhm.
And he loved to come to O. Henry's and drink beer and write poetry. And So he was quite a free spirit. And then I met him in New York too. He was
Oh.
in New York for a little while. But he contracted AIDS and eventually died. And Raphael and I went, somebody else went to his funeral. Some little town out west. It was up on a hill
really?
somewhere.
Huh.
But he was a remarkable person. And he spent many months, moons, years at Running Water periodically.
Okay.
And his little tent. And he was very, what's the word? He was a little bit independent, but he had a tongue. He must have been a Virgo or a Leo. He could just nail somebody in 2 words.
Oh.
He was dead on.
Now, there's a memorial grove somewhere? Is that it?
That's
That at the mountain, or is that at Running Water?
No, I think it's at Running Water.
Okay.
Not Running Water, Short Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, we took a lot of his stones. I have a couple stones left. He used to mark stones.
Okay.
He took Mason very carefully, literally.
Okay.
And
there's one for him somewhere. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
but they moved him to Short Mountain
Okay.
because we were going to sell Running Water. We didn't want that to go into other hands. So.
Okay. So we were back to wherever you were in the list.
John Clark, Sean Cook. Wow, it's amazing how many of these names I don't know.
Well, that's fun because you're going to remember some people that
Well,
other
of course,
people
Gary
don't.
Kay, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Martin Iglesias, yes. Charming man. Very smart. We took a lot of leadership for the Gay Spirit Visions Conference for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember him.
So for these people, we want you to try to describe how you remember them, what they look like, what their spirit was like.
Like
or an
Martin.
interaction.
Martin was very
you-
handsome. Very handsome man, but he was also kind of centered. He was centered, and so I always felt that he knew where he was, and he had his feet on the ground. You can have your head in the clouds if you have your feet in the ground, you know. It's just a big stretch.
Yeah.
I think I know, I don't remember. Oh, of course, Crazy Al, I knew.
Okay.
Oh, he was definitely a character.
Did he live at Short Mountain at one point?
He did.
Did he live at Running Water ever?
Actually, he did not. He visited a lot.
Okay.
He lived in, he was land sitting, a place near Decatur, Georgia, I think it was.
It was. Flat
And-
Shoals Road.
Yeah, and he had quite a farm there. And some little old lady had it, and she wasn't going to let anything else happen to it. So he sat there for years. But he finally, I think, moved to Short Mountain.
That's where he died, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And was he was or wasn't involved? Well, he was involved in GSV, or he wouldn't be on that list.
Yeah, he was, and he was also involved with RFD. He was one of the herbal people, and he did a lot of Chinese medicine, that kind of thing. Yeah, very knowledgeable, but he was crazy.
Yeah.
Now Rocco, of course, he was part of our original group. That bought Running Water was Peter's companion, and did massage and all that.
What was he like as a person? I never met him.
He was rather quiet and thoughtful, but a sweet man, and so many memories, gosh. But he was a great cook.
Okay.
See, we at Running Water here with us, collectively living on $2,000 a year, we ate well. I remember one year we had a gathering, and he made, it must have been 50 nut loaves by hand and froze them.
Wow.
We ate well. And he was very picky. Both he and Peter are kind of, has to be just right. But he would work in the nude in the garden for hours till dark. And we had raised beds. And I kid you not, you could reach your hand that far into your elbow
Wow.
to that in loam,
Oh.
dirt. We had parsnips that were that long. So he and Peter were both quite the cooks, but Rocky was the better cook. He actually worked for a while as a chef
Uh-huh.
when we were in Florida at that time.
Mm-hmm. And am I correct that he died of pancreatic cancer or some
I'm
kind
not
of
sure
sudden
exactly
thing?
what it was, but it was sudden.
Okay.
I mean, it was.
He didn't have long to live when he got
No,
diagnosed.
no.
Yeah.
It came on fast. So I think it was a form of cancer.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And he was always very healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Art Polanski.
What are you remembering about him?
He was.
That makes you laugh.
He was kind of a chubby scientist, and he worked for the weather department.
Mm-hmm.
And he was jailed one time because he got so mad at the weather department they wouldn't open the windows. He said, "I'm going to throw bricks at these windows," and something, and they jailed him for that.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but he was a character. He loved the Gay Spirit Mission conferences that
Mm-hmm.
gave him a home that he just didn't have anywhere else.
Did he lived up in the mountains by himself somewhere, didn't he? He didn't. He
No,
wasn't in
he
Asheville.
lived
was
in the Asheville area, but it was
Wow.
up on a mountain
Uh-huh.
somewhere. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Phoenix. Oh, John Stowe. Oh, what a beautiful man he was. Very tall, flashing black hair and eyes, and was.
Ponytail.
Yeah, he had that, but a kind of a swarthy complexion. Very, very sensual, you know, just a wonderful man. And he was involved for years with both Running Water and the Gay Spirit Visions Conference.
Mm-hmm. Were you involved at all in the body electric stuff that
You
so
know, I
many of
was
these
not.
other people?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Not,
You didn't
Intimately.
join them.
no, I
Okay.
just knew about them and I applauded them for
Uh-huh.
what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Raven Wolfdancer, I knew.
Yeah.
He was part of the RFD and Running Water family.
Do you remember how
years.
you met him? Did you
It
meet
was
him
at the gathering. I'm sure it was at a gathering. You know.
at Running Water?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he contributed to the magazine a lot, especially artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very sweet man, but I just sorry about his demise because it was an inglorious way. But you know, most of these others I don't remember
Okay.
the names. I bet if I saw them, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Late day.
Okay. So we haven't asked you about your relationship history. Do you want to go through that from the beginning, from what you?
Well, no, you don't want boyfriends. You want relationship, right?
Well, we want
'Cause
whatever you
it was a long
define
list
as.
of affairs.
Okay. Well,
Starting in
whatever
the army, starting in high school.
whatever you consider
Okay.
important enough for you to remember.
I've
and
actually
be glad
had
that
very
you-
few relationships
Okay.
that were more than just a casual boyfriend or dating or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in San Francisco, I met this fellow at Land's End, you know something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is tall, flaxen lad I just was quite taken with. And so I invited him to the apartment and we were talking and carrying on. And I think I invited him to come back or something. And he shocked me because he showed up the next day or two with a cardboard boxes. Well, I'm here. He had been living with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided that we were now boyfriends. And I gladly accepted that. So we were lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived with me in that apartment for quite a while. I think we were together about 7 years.
Wow.
And
What was his
But-
name?
Jeff,
Okay.
well, it was Hugh Jeffcoat,
Oh.
but everybody called him Jeff.
Uh-huh.
And I've lost track of him. I'm afraid, I think he's passed on.
Mm-hmm.
But he was quite a character. He ran he had a lunch wagon,
Mm-hmm.
and he would drive that around and all that. But, and occasionally he was sick, and I had to do that, and I hated it.
Wow.
But I did. And, but it got to the point where we had nothing in common. I had a sailboat, he hated it. He just would not get on it. I loved classical music, he hated it. He liked, he was an astrologer, and he liked Chinese cooking. So we ate well, but guess who did the dishes?
Mm.
The pots. And if he could boil an egg and use every pot in the kitchen. But we had a rich experience, and it was great. But when I bought the house with my friend Joe, the Victorian,
Mm-hmm.
we decided to separate them.
Okay.
It was a kind of agreeable.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't have that much in common.
Mm-hmm.
We had some of the best Christmas parties, though,
Oh.
because we'd have a Christmas tree decorating party, and we invite everybody we knew, not just gay people,
Mhm.
but the little old lady down the hall, and other people, and they all got together. They just thought it was wonderful. They were such an interesting array of people.
Uh-huh. Oh.
So that was fun. And then we did a lot of spiritual things together, and
Oh.
yeah, but we just didn't share much after that.
Yeah.
Beyond that.
Okay.
And after, I think it was 7 years, we just separated. But I kept in touch with them till about 5 years ago.
Oh. Okay. And then after that,
Well, I know.
any other relationships in San Francisco before you left?
Not really.
Okay.
Lots of little affairs.
Uh-huh.
I have a friend living with me now, but it's not really a relationship. He's an alcoholic and he's bisexual. You know, it's very limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of more of a father figure for him than anything else.
Uh-huh.
And I know he relates to me. So I guess I just have lots of friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with a little help from your friends, you get by.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, is there something that we didn't cover about GSV that you wish we had asked you about, or that you think is important to,
Well, I'll probably
to
think of it
mention?
after you leave.
Okay. Well, and you know, you'll have a chance eventually when the transcript gets done. You can add to it things you.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of.
Yeah. But you know, our questions are our questions, but that doesn't necessarily cover what is important to you about
Right,
GSV.
yeah, I understand. But I think there is definitely a future for RFD.
Yeah.
I mean, and gay, I put them together. Gay Spirit Visions are just is part of RFD in a way.
Uh-huh.
Although RFD is doing very well on its own now up in New England. He's doing a great job, Bambi.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a place for it, but it's going to have to adapt to the times.
Meaning,
The times change.
yeah.
And there's still wounded fairies out there that need healing.
Uh-huh.
And the conference is a great way to, because there are gatherings in other places like Short Mountain, but there's some up in the north and there's some up, I don't know where all,
Mm-hmm.
certainly out west too.
Mm-hmm.
So those are important, but I consider those the entry level, and I consider the conference a graduate level,
Mhm.
if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's more of a thinking thing, but you still always have that element of welcoming and healing.
Mhm.
It's so important because we've all been through hell
Mhm.
some time or other.
Okay. Well, was that terribly exhausting?
No, not at all.
Great.